What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV here, and as it is international break and it's a bit of a slow news week for Tottenham, we thought we'd bring you a brand new series to the channel called Spurs Busters, where we're going to be taking a look at some Spurs myths doing the rounds, and we're going to be delving deep into the stats with obviously Statman Siv over here. He's been doing a lot of work over the past couple of hours delving deep into these stats, and we're going to take a look at some of these myths and see if we can bust them or not, see if they're true or false. And yeah, there's a lot we can get through, but before we get into it, I want to know any Spurs myths that you want us to debunk. Put them in the comment section below, and the first one we're going to be looking at is Spurs are better without Harry Kane.
Yeah, so I've kind of compiled pretty much since the start of the 2016 season, since, you know, Son's signed and been a Spurs backup striker. There's a lot of suggestions, people saying Spurs are better without Harry Kane, or they attack better, more fluid. So I've kind of taken a look at the results and taken a look at the how many goals we've scored, how many points we get, and we can make our assessment. Are Spurs better off, or are Spurs better without Harry Kane? Let's look at the stats. So what's your initial thoughts before we look at the results of what I've found?
I mean, it's hard to say that Spurs are better without Harry Kane because of the actual player he is, the man he is, the professional he is, one of the best strikers in world football right now. So it's hard to say that we are better without Harry Kane, but I have felt in the past we have been more fluid under Harry Kane, without Harry Kane, shall I say. But I think that, you know, I've always thought about it like, I think under Jose Mourinho that was a different case, but I think under Pochettino that was definitely the case.
Interesting, very interesting. So I've gone through all the results. I've separated the results with Harry Kane, without Harry Kane, and this is what pretty much I found. So with Harry Kane, since the start of the 16-17 season, with Harry Kane, we've played 155 games. We've won 89, drawn 29, scored 298. And scored, basically, we got 1.92 points per game and 1.91 goals per game with Harry Kane in the side since 2016. Without Harry Kane, we've played 35 games, won 19, drawn 7, lost 9, scored 57, and we've got points per game 1.63 and goals per game 1.83. So if you look at the barefaced stats there, with Harry Kane or without Harry Kane, with Harry Kane, 1.92 points per game versus 1.63 without him, and goals per game 1.91 with Harry Kane versus 1.83 without him. However, I have gone
deeper, Sim.
I've gone deeper. I'm going deeper. I'm going deeper. I'm diving to the new depths.
Let's find that gold. Come on.
So I've separated results with Harry Kane and without Harry Kane. We've separated the Pochettino and the Mourinho era, and I've looked even deeper into the stats to see if there's any difference between the two managers' approaches, because as you said, you know, you felt with Pochettino we coped a lot more with Kane than without him, and under Pochettino under Pochettino we coped with without Harry Kane better than Mourinho. So under Pochettino with Harry Kane, points per game was 2.1, and without Harry Kane, points per game was 2.15. So a slight improvement in points per game. Goals
under Poch.
Under Poch.
Yeah.
Goals per game was 2.02 with Harry Kane, and without Harry Kane was 2.1. So a slight more improvement in goals per game as well. Under Mourinho, points per game was 1.66 with Kane. Points without Kane was 1.17, so a massive drop off. And goals per game, 1.79 with Kane, and only 1 without Kane. So taking all of that into account, there's clearly a big difference there between the Poch era and the Mourinho era, how we dealt with Harry Kane. That probably culminates in what the overall stats were, because the overall stats show with Harry Kane was stronger than without him, but under Pochettino, we're actually slightly better without him, interestingly enough, points and goals-wise, but only minuscule.
Yeah, and I think it's exactly what I thought, to be honest. And I think that when you compare the two managers and the two tenures at Spurs, I think the Pochettino era was more about building the structure of a team, an actual team game, teamwork. And, you know, when Harry Kane was not in the team, we were very fluid up front with Heung Son leading the line and stuff like that. And, you know, our pressing game was stronger. We looked a lot more pacey in attack and stuff like that. Under Jose Mourinho, it was more focused on kind of individuals going forward in terms of Heung-min Son and Harry Kane. So whenever Harry Kane was out, that pretty much just fell off a cliff, our team performances under Jose Mourinho. But what I would say is that under Jose Mourinho, it's a bit unfair because Heung-min Son was out for that long period of time when Harry Kane was out as well.
He was, but I think it was only 4 games. I think in general,
It was only 4 games.
Yeah, so
it felt like much longer.
it definitely did. It definitely did. Well, it was out 4 months and the COVID happened, didn't it? So, but if we're going to answer the question, are Spurs better without Kane? That's the myth. What do we reckon? Is the myth busted or is the myth true based on all the findings we found?
It's a difficult one. It really is a difficult one because it all depends on what system we're going to be playing. That's for sure. Because I think if you're going by a Pochettino system, then maybe we're not better without Kane, but we can definitely cope without him to a high standard. That's for sure. Under Jose Mourinho, that was definitely true. It was definitely true.
So then, from that point of view, Spurs are better with Kane.
Yeah, I would say Spurs are better with Kane, but in the right system, he's not the be-all and end-all.
All right, but if someone says Spurs are better without Kane, someone uses that like Kane should be dropped. Spurs are better without Kane. Is that true or not? Do you think?
If someone came up to me in the street and said that to me, what I would say to them is that we're not better off without Harry Kane, but we can look a lot more fluid without Harry Kane.
Interesting. Is the myth debunked or not?
The myth is debunked.
All right, busted. There we go.
The myth is debunked.
We have busted the myth, but
it's fine lines though.
It's fine lines, and in terms of Sonny, in terms of the Poch, there is improvement. You can see a tiny, minuscule improvement without Kane, but it's only minuscule. So
again, it all depends on what system we play. And if we kind of go down the Jose Mourinho route, then we're much better off with Harry Kane. If we go down the Pochettino route and we know high press and all that kind of stuff, we can live without him.
We can. All right, and the next one we're going to go with is Son. Is better Son without Kane? A lot of people
Son without Kane. Is Son better without Harry Kane?
Better Son without Kane. Is Son better without Kane? A lot of people say that, don't they? They say Sonny usually steps up without Harry Kane on the pitch. He usually gets more goals and assists when Kane isn't there. Because he becomes the main man and he plays up front and he gets more goals and assists. Do you think that's true? Do you think he's better with Kane or without Kane?
I'd be surprised. To be honest, it's a very hard one as well. But I'm going to go for Son is better without Harry Kane.
Interesting. All right. So looking at the stats again, I'm being more fair to Son because I've taken out his first season at Tottenham because I don't think it's fair to judge him on that one when he was struggling to get in the team. So just from the 16-17 season, we're taking from that with Son. So we've judged Son's appearances with Kane and without Kane. And what we found, so since 16-17, not including this season, with Harry Kane, 120 appearances, 49 goals and 33 assists, which is 0.68 goals and assists with Harry Kane per game, 0.68 per game. Without Harry Kane, 29 goals, 17 assists, 29 appearances, 17 goals, 6 assists, which is 0.79 goals and assists per game. So without Harry Kane, 0.79, with Harry Kane, 0.68. So it is more. It is more. But delving into Poch and Mourinho's eras, again, just looking at two different systems. Under Pochettino, his goals and assists with Harry Kane, 0.64. Without Harry Kane, goals and assists, 0.89. So under Pochettino, he really did thrive without Kane in the side. He was really getting a lot more output. But under Mourinho, goals and assists with Kane, 0.73. Without him, 0.58. So a bit of a drop-off.
How many games under Mourinho did he play without Harry Kane?
That was 9.
9 games.
9 games.
Not many at all.
Not many to judge, but there was a bit of a drop-off when he did play. Yeah. 0.73 with Kane, 0.5, but they played a lot more with Kane.
It's a hard one to analyse that because it's just you can't really compare much because there's not many games to compare with. Definitely,
what you can say is,
especially under Mourinho, anyway.
I think if you're comparing the 2 tenures, maybe not, but he played 30 games without Kane, and he played 120 games with Kane, and there is a fairly 0.1, like pretty much like a 10% increase in his output. So again, his output's still pretty strong with Kane, but I think you probably say people are right when people say Son is actually better without Kane. I think the stats do bear that out.
Stats do bear that. But, you know, it's all circumstantial as well. I'd like to see what the games are that Son has played without Harry Kane as well. And like I said, I've always felt we're more fluid without Harry Kane in the Pochettino pressing system. And that shows as well with the stats under Pochettino. The stats do bear that out, don't they?
Yeah, they do. It was interesting. Most of it comes from, you know, that first season when... in that 16-17 season when Kane had a few injuries and Son was really stepping up and we're getting a lot of wins and stuff like that. But it does seem to show Son without Harry Kane. I'm not saying he's like much better, but it is a slight improvement, which is interesting to see.
Wasn't there that moment like halfway through the season when Kane was out? Was it the year we got Champions League or the year before that? I can't remember, when we played Middlesbrough. We played Middlesbrough in a cup game when Sonny led the line on his own. And there was that period where Son was just pulling through for us game after game when Kane was out.
When Son got the double at Villa Park and stuff like that? What season?
No, that was under Mourinho. I'm talking about under Pochettino.
Which season?
I think it was the year we got the Champions League final.
Yeah. There was a period when Kane was out injured and we beat like the likes of I think it wasn't Fulham but like Watford. I remember like we got 2 late goals.
Exactly that period.
Yeah,
and not only that period,
Newcastle,
but also,
he scored a late winner.
That period, and also the Champions League run as well. The majority of that was about.
Yeah, this hasn't taken into account Champions League games, to be fair. But it's only Premier League games.
I bet you if you took into account Champions League games, the stats will bear out even more for us.
Interesting. Well, in Premier League, it still does bear out, doesn't it? So I think that myth is true. True.
Right,
I think you've got to say that myth is true.
So we've busted one myth and we've confirmed another.
Son is better without Harry Kane. Interesting.
Very, very interesting. So I want to know all you guys' opinions in the comment section below, and I want to know some more Spurs myths that we can either tell you if they're true, if they're false. Please do put them in the comment section below. That is our first episode of Spurs Busters. Like, subscribe and comment, and as always, come on you Spurs.